Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes, and welcome back to the YoVideogames podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Andrew.
And I almost forgot to say that.
I mean, at this point, do we really? I mean, our names are on screen. People
You
get
never
it.
know. You never know when someone's just joining in. Today might be the day someone first clicks on the YoVideogames podcast. So.
Yeah, no, that's true. And also, like, the reason we started doing that was because in audio, it's pretty hard to tell the difference between our voices. So we would repeatedly say our names.
Apparently not.
I've had people tell us that, but that's the whole reason we started introducing the podcast that way. And now that it's a visual format instead of only an audio format, although shout out to the people who still listen mostly to audio. You're still there. You're a big chunk. We believe in you. Love you. But yeah, it's
sorry, this maintenance guy outside my window. He has like one of those golf carts, and it clearly has something not
with it.
No, like not. He has something on the back that's not like nailed down or secured down, and he's just flying over speed bumps and just saying, it's just like hearing all this crap in his cart going up and down, and I'm like, okay.
There's a weird thing down here in neighborhoods. So there's a Dollar General outside of almost every neighborhood ever down here, but like in neighborhoods, rather than people walk from their house to the Dollar General, like several people will just have golf carts specifically for driving around in the neighborhood because they're not street legal. So they'll drive them in the neighborhood on the private roads and then also just go to Dollar General. And it's like, I thought like, oh, one person. No, there's like, maybe not as many as half the households in the neighborhood, but like 20, 30 houses. They've got like giant golf carts. And so sometimes you'll see them hit like bumps and stuff and like get air because people haul ass in them. Also, I've seen people driving K-trucks. People use K-trucks the same way. And I'm going to get me one. I'm going to get me one. I can't drive them legally on highways and stuff, but maybe I'll go full sovereign citizen. I'll just be like, you can't tell me what to do. But yeah, if you're interested in joining the Patreon, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week is Raylo Bombad. Thank you, Raylo.
Which is a great name that I know exactly what he's referencing there, which is amazing.
I mean, I've been a dude for a long time, but like a lot of the patrons like names are great references. Or sometimes we mess up and we think that somebody's name is a reference and it's
Raylo Bombad. Raylo Bombad got a chuckle out of me.
All right, we didn't have a podcast last week, and so there's things to catch up on, namely, of course, the state of play that ended shortly before we started recording this. Sony did a state of play specifically for Japan,
which is really weird. I like, which was funny. I literally saw a comment like, this is how they always are. I'm like, they've literally never done this.
No, this is the first time ever, and also. I think it's because they've seen so much backlash about them pivoting away from Japanese game development. And people don't believe us when we say it, but like Sony's not nearly as well off as you'd think. And so I think they are starting to really listen.
Yeah, I think that, so weirdly, they announced this yesterday, and we're like, it's today. We're going to have this thing. We're going to have this famous voice actor hosting it. And
Attack on Titan and God, what is it? Demon Slayer.
Yeah. So I'm not familiar with his work. I mean, I've heard of those animes, seen bits and pieces, but like, but it's a big thing. It's definitely what you would do for Japan, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, he's great in both of them.
Well, they said, for Japan and Asian gaming markets, even though so I always thought, there's going to be a bunch of like Chinese and Korean, maybe even India, like Southeast Asia, like no, not really. Like It was mostly just Japan. Like it's a tiny little bit of sprinkling of non-Japanese.
Who was the non-Japanese? Did I just miss those?
There was like that HD 2D wuxia RPG. I don't even know if that's being made in Japan. That may not be. I don't think it is.
I feel like maybe I missed a couple things.
Yeah, I'd have to
Uh,
go back and see like the full list or whatever, but like yeah,
yeah,
it was actually mostly a Japanese centric. In fact, the announcement at the end was specifically just for Japan, regarding the new PS5 model they're releasing there.
yeah. So a Japanese language PS5 model,
Yeah,
like
so I think it's basically a region locked PS5,
what? Yeah, and I
which
wonder what the benefit of that is.
well, it's exactly what Switch 2 did because remember there's a a region lock Switch 2 in Japan that's much cheaper than the other models of Switch 2. So it's sort of twofold. One, it's to sort of combat Switch 2 with a super cheap model, and two, it's I don't care who you are. This is getting around tariffs.
Oh,
Straight up. This is just all right, go back to region lock, region specific consoles. And instead of leaving the door open for people to just import like a game system and ship it to America and somehow still pay less than the console you would buy on the parts. They're rather just like, all right, well, let's make a console locked region specific model, strip
yeah.
down, and sell it for way cheaper because we're trying to get into that market. Um,
Well,
because
the Japanese gaming market, especially console market, has been dying,
yeah,
shrinking for
yeah.
years.
I
But
mean, there's a lot to go over here because to me the most interesting thing. I mean, okay, like I understand our audience. We'll talk about Tokon.
yeah,
But like to
but that did legitimately look sick.
I mean, it's always looked good, but it was heart wrenching to see all the deconfirmation from that. But anyways, uh, the the price to me, this is the most interesting. So it's a $357 PS5 digital only PS5. It's a
Right.
dickless vanilla PS5 for 357. That's region specific to Japan. Obviously, because the thing is like a normal PS5 over there is like way more. It's like at least $200 more to get like a dick drive PS5 in Japan.
Right, because here they were 500 at launch, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's expensive, and they went up in Japan. So it's been a rough time, and I think there's another I think there's been another I think there's a realization here happening, right? Which is, yeah, Sony's definitely been losing the Japanese audience. They also kind of have to look at China and Korea and how that market's still kind of growing and booming. But
Right.
the thing is China and Korea have been PC only nations for decades at this point.
Decades. Yeah.
Black Myth Wukong was sort of like their first real sort of strides or inroads to getting a console doing well in China. So I thought there was actually going to be a much more bigger emphasis on some of these Chinese game projects like Where Winds Meet and some of the other stuff. Didn't really happen at this state of play. They didn't even talk about that at all. But I still think at the end of the day, I still think Sony's looking at this going like we've lost too much ground to Nintendo. Microsoft's a non-factor. It's always been a non-factor. They're not even concerned about that.
Well,
But
it definitely is now.
I think they see the growing, and you hear about this too. Japan, even in Japan, PC gaming is growing, pretty big. And so I think they have to look at like, okay, PC is starting to actually make serious inroads in Japan, and we're already lost a ton of ground to Switch. We can't we can't be just offering this like hyper luxury product that nobody in Japan buys. Basically, we're losing too much of our of a major audience, even though Japan on the world stage doesn't really account for that much. But when I saw this announced, I was like, okay, this is Sony going like we need to get some audience back
Yeah.
in the Asian market territories. I don't think they did a great job personally. Like I felt like the state of play was literally a bunch of okay, here's a bunch of DLC and
Yeah.
updates and
Well,
and sort of very little in the way of like actual announcements, anything new. Most of it was just sort of like here's a follow-up trailer for Dragon Quest 7, which was already been announced, it's already been known. Here's a follow-up trailer for Octopath Traveler Zero. It's already been announced, it's already been known. But hey, we're announcing a demo coming out today. Cool. you
yeah,
know.
for like a December 5th release, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Yeah. Like December 4th or 5th, something like that. And then like we're gonna have we have a fifth, yeah. And then like Tokon is gonna get a closed beta again, on the 4th, starting on the 4th of December. I don't even but so it's
72 hours, no breaks.
Yeah, and here's here's Dynasty Warrior Origins DLC. Here's Night Rain DLC. Um, here's some indie stuff from the Japanese indie scene. But it was like it kind of
Couple
just
of
felt like,
cozy games, yeah.
yeah, it felt like a smorgasbord, like just sort of like none of this,
Well,
like everything is within 4 months, pretty much. I don't think anything was. I mean, other than like Tokon, which we don't know when in 26, but like literally every game there was going to be released by March for the most part.
which
So
it's sort of plugging a gap that we identified a while ago where you're kind of like, well, what are they doing in these next few months? And I guess it's this. Although I semi agree with you where it's like this wasn't exactly what I expected, but it's
yeah.
because I don't think that this is targeted towards I don't think these games were targeted towards a Japanese audience. I think these were selected for uh like Western fans of Japanese games
Mm.
because all of them are very popular. The game styles are all very popular already with Western audiences. This is just the Japanese makers version of it. I mean, and it works. And obviously there's going to be their own twist to those things, but like it, it very much. I'm trying to think of a single one of these that doesn't appeal pretty solidly to
Yeah,
Western
I mean
fans of
that was the
Japanese
thing, is like
games.
every single one of these games would have you could see there's an audience. There is a Western audience for every game there. There wasn't anything that was like inherently Japanese where here's like Konami's Power Pro Baseball, the little chibi baseball series that's
Right.
been going forever and is super popular over there. They didn't have something like that, right? They didn't have any of the dice rolling Mario Party esque board game style games, Dokapon Kingdom style stuff or whatever. They didn't have anything that was like, oh, this is huge in
Right.
Japan. I don't understand why this is huge. So there really wasn't anything that was like so inherently Japanese that it would seem like the most Japanese thing. And apparently it did get a Western release was DLC for Super Robot Wars Y. And
Right.
that DLC included Big O, which was a series that got popular in America. So
Yeah, my brother owns the box set of Big O,
mm,
and I haven't seen it since it was like I think it was on Toonami.
yeah.
Um, all the OGs. That was their intro. A lot of people are all like, "Oh yeah, I was watching Toonami in the '90s or whatever, the early 2000s." So like, yeah, you weren't seeing completely inappropriate borderline hentai that you rented because it was a kids movie from the local rental shop. They didn't know that just because it's cartoons doesn't mean that there aren't tentacles going all over the fucking place. Um, you know, I there's little things that make me think like even the developers knew that this was for a particular type of Western audience, like the Inko, what was it called? It was Inko Beanie or Incon Beanie or Incon Beanie. The one where they're like you're running a little shop like a convenience store.
Yeah,
Like
but
you're
there's like a billion of those on Steam.
right. But also, like, it's a very particular type of person who finds the cozy, it's the same person who's obsessed with Sakamoto Days,
Yeah.
minus the hitman aspect. It's just like they get that cozy. You're running a convenience store in Japan. There's whole TV shows about
Hmm.
convenience stores in Japan, but they are marketed towards Western. Look at how like peaceful and quaint this is. I don't know how popular that is of a concept in Japan. The coffee shop one where you're like serving monsters, which
Which is all kind
vaguely
of based off of Valhalla, which I think was an originally a Western thing that blew up in Japan on Vita in particular. Um,
yeah,
yeah,
that
that.
I was gonna say that's the one that sort of makes me is like, okay, that's targeted towards a
But
Japanese
here's the
audience.
crazy thing: that's another game in a long running series that are on Game Pass.
Yeah,
Like, like it's not specifically like, oh, this is like something like made just for, no, dude. That is the next game in a series of coffee talk shop games that have been out here for a while, been on Game Pass for a while. Like,
weird aside. Shout out to Andres Labrada Noir. He wrote and produced and did the art for his own manga that was basically that concept. Sort of that concept. It was like but it had like a monsters going to a coffee shop type
Mm.
thing. That I think that's why it ticked my memory where I was like, why do I recognize this so much? It's not actually because I recognize the game series that you're talking about. It's because I recognize his work.
Yeah, like the bartending sim has been
Yeah,
around for kind of a while now,
long
actually.
time.
So
Yeah, listen to their problems, try to solve
yeah,
things.
and again, that's not even like inherently. Oh, this is a big Japanese thing. Only Japan's gonna get. No, this started. This is actually an American thing that like got big in Japan, and has been running. They've had many of these on Steam in the West for a long time.
Yeah, but that theme of like a bartender of any sort, coffee shop or whatever, solving the problems of their customers, that is a narrative thing in Japan that is very popular just
Yeah.
generally.
Oh, it
Um,
appeals. It has
yeah.
definite appeal there. But yeah,
But
it
that's the
was.
only one that I was like, oh, this one definitely appeals. I'm trying to think like I had like written down a couple that I was like, oh, I can see this appealing to Japanese players. Like there's that hero shooter that it was early access on Steam.
Yeah, that one's been around for a while. Are you talking about like
Like
the
6 months, yeah.
yeah,
Um
like the anime BR, anime Valorant looking thing?
yeah, I'm trying to remember what its title was.
Fate Trigger, something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Fate Trigger. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's a tactical hero shooter, but it also has battle royale. Um, and I know a few people that have played it, and they're like, yeah, it's good. It's got a lot of the things that we talk about a hero shooter needing, where it's like an art style that's fun to look at. Uh,
Yeah.
hot people running around shooting each other. It's got third person and first person, or I can't remember if it's third person or you can switch to first person, or if when you aim down sights it
Mhm.
goes into first person like PUBG kind of thing. But that there is interest there. I don't know how hype that will attract Japanese audience, but I think there's definite interest there where like if you're looking for a hero shooter and you particularly like anime style, like that game looks good. It looks interesting. It has an interesting
I mean,
look.
at the end of the day, though, this wasn't a headline grabbing
No,
state of play. And again, this was an update to an existing product. This was everything was felt like a goodie bag, a scramble. This was a Wendy's biggie bag of
yeah.
just our cheapest, a product. Just throw all this little stuff together in a goodie bag. Here's the goodie bag. Have a good day.
I mean, for me personally, I felt like it was actually a pretty solid state of play because it felt like they were actually trying to release there's interesting titles here. The Witch Hat game where, it's Metroidvania, yes, and it's got like some Mario Odyssey gameplay mechanics where you can like possess
Yeah,
certain things
yeah.
that, um, but like I like the art style. I think that it's a fun, Metroidvania is always going to be kind of fun to
Like, I
pick up
think
and play
the indie stuff was once again, the indie stuff was the most interesting stuff. Like I really
because
like
they're taking risks.
Yeah, like I like Damon and Baby. I thought that looked really fun.
Yeah,
For the gun, like a very cartoonish looking game of a big Totoro looking demon carrying a baby around on its shoulders, but it has almost hyper realistic looking guns, pistols,
yeah,
and ARs and whatever. And it's a twin stick shooter,
yeah,
a platforming twin stick shooter. And I'm like, cool.
yeah. I can't think the last twin stick shooter I can think of was like what Ikaruga, like that kind of
No,
bullet
no, no,
hell
no, no,
style.
no. Galaxy. What was that 360 game?
Oh,
Everyone
you're
was
right.
obsessed.
Yeah,
Galaxy
yeah,
Wars.
yeah. Or
Galaxy War? What was it?
no, it was like
What the hell was it called?
Geometry Wars.
Geometry Wars. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I can't outside of bullet hell. I can't think of another game like that.
Yeah,
That
like
kind of style.
you had that weird game where like you do a movement and you record it, and then you repeat that movement. You control V that movement somewhere else. As that weird little platformer game where
Right. Oh,
that's going to be like a head scratcher puzzle platformer. I mean, it's cool though. Again, that's a cool idea. It's just again like of course indies are doing things interesting, and then it's just kind of like the rest is just a grab bag of DLC.
yeah, I mean, and there's DLC that people are going to be genuinely excited
Like
about.
it's generally weird to me. There was no Capcom anything there, like none. There was
They had a Monster Hunter
Oh
update.
no, that's right. They
Yeah,
they
there was a
announced that
Monster Hunter update.
there's going to be the free December update for Monster Hunter. Well, I'm bringing back one of like the original Elder Dragons. I guess that is true. They technically had that, but I mean, Wilds has dropped like a rock. I mean, obviously this is part of the appeal to try to get people back into playing Wilds, people back into buying Wilds. But Wilds has been a weird thing where after the initial month or two it came out, the other games Rise and World started we're selling more than it on a month to month basis, and they
Well,
still are.
yeah,
Like
Wilds
people,
from what
they
I've
went
heard
back
is
to
like,
other games.
yeah, Wilds is like it's considered sort of a weak entry, right?
I mean, it sold
Yep.
amazing. You have like 10, 11 million copies sold on the first month right off the rip. Everyone ran to it. Oh my god, new Monster Hunter! This is great.
Right.
This this is too easy. This is too many. Like, I'm just gonna go back to the old one. They just went back to the old games, and then people buying it just went back and bought old games. They're not. It's the weirdest thing to watch. Um, literally see Rise sell twice the monthly amount that Wilds does. And
Good
Rise
problem
is
to
an
have, though, I
old game
guess.
that came out on Switch, but yeah, that was like it for Capcom. They had like oh yeah, yeah, but it was like, by the way, there's a Monster Hunter update next month. Um, but like nothing, like no updates on any of their big games for name. No RE9, no Onimusha, no Pragmata. Um, and Bandai was barely there. I mean, Night Rain is their big one, but it's always weird when I see like anything Elden Ring or Dark Souls, because I'm like, it's like it's from Soft,
Right.
which is technically Katakawa. So it's like, yeah, yeah, Bandai Namco publishes it. It's definitely a Bandai Namco release. They're getting money out of it. But it also is like, but it's also nothing to do with Bandai Namco as a developer. It's like,
Didn't they
here's
do like
this.
that Pac-Man game? Wasn't that Bandai Namco too?
Yeah, so they had like Pac-Man World 2
Right.
remaster DLC.
For everyone who loves goblin balls.
Yeah, just the
Love it.
Sonic DLC for Pac-Man World 2 remaster. So it's just okay. Like that's not a bad thing, but it's like
Yeah.
these are very tiny updates. And again, that was known. The Pac-Man DLC World 2, that was not even new. That was announced. That was known. Like we knew it was getting a Sonic crossover. We knew it was going to be, we knew this was happening. We got a little bit more footage of it. Sonic Worlds or Racing, Sonic Cross Worlds Racing, they said, "Hey, here's the next couple Sega characters. It's Knights, it's Monkey Ball, it's a couple weirdo furry characters. I think they're from the comics or some shit." But yeah, like like that was more new than the Pac-Man, but it's also like, okay, like here's the next batch of free DLC characters for Sonic Racing. And I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
right. Yeah. There was SpongeBob in that?
yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that's known. That's already been announced. Like
Yeah,
SpongeBob is
I
happening.
guess I just didn't know that, or I didn't remember that. And
And
so
it's gonna be
seeing
real
Spon-
awkward and weird because they have no voice lines whatsoever.
none?
None.
Specifically
No voice.
SpongeBob, or none of the characters do?
Every added character, whether they're Sega or third party, have no voice lines.
Huh. That
Period.
seems awkward and
It
weird.
is awkward as hell.
They just didn't have the budget for it, I guess, or couldn't
Well,
get the
that's
rights.
the truth. And Izuka, the head of Sonic Team, was like, well, it's because in the main game we have a very in-depth story mode where characters have rivals and they talk to each other through the single player, and we didn't want there to be this awkward thing where the new characters that come in don't ever actually respond to any of the voice lines, for the characters that are base roster. So nobody, none of the DLC characters, Sega or third party, will have any speaking lines whatsoever. I'm like, you're cheap. Just say you're cheap. Just say you didn't want to pay for it. Like, let's be real here. And it's going to be awkward as hell.
Well, I guess we'll see. I don't know that I was super amped for Sonic Racing, but
People like it. It's
eh,
well received. Like the racing is solid in it. Like people like the game. But like
yeah,
it's
but like
it's
I wasn't expecting to be super hype over DLC characters or added characters anyway. So it's like I don't
yeah.
know like I guess what I'm saying is I'm not expecting to be like I'm not going to be disappointed. I guess it's uh you're getting bonus characters in a game that probably would have been fairly small.
Yeah. There's a lot of characters in the game now. The third party stuff like SpongeBob and the ones that were leaked, yeah, you're gonna have to pay for those. The Sega characters are free, which is kind of nice. Um,
Yeah, well,
so
how big is the roster now though?
it's getting
Wasn't
up there.
For
But
some
it's
reason I
just
thought it was like 16?
it's so weird to see like Ichiban's in the game and he doesn't talk. You
Yeah,
know,
well,
like I think the only one who has voice lines that is DLC is Miku, but she's just doing her weird synthesized like me stuff. So she's not even really saying anything, anyways.
I'm trying to think of like there was a couple of horror games that was like you climb the tower.
Yeah,
I think one was
Ascension, and
yeah,
then
one
the
was
other one,
called Ascension the Tower, and they're was it Lorebound? Is that what that was called? What was
something
that?
like that. Yeah, like apparently it's a series. It sounds like it's one of those ongoing horror series, like the kind of like
Broken Lore, like Outlast.
yeah,
Yeah. It gave
or
me
was it
like
those super? What was it those? That was that company that did like all those like horror anthology games after Until Dawn, all that
oh,
stuff.
right. Yeah. I was thinking it reminded me of Amnesia, like The Dark Descent, except you're
Hmm.
going upward. That same kind of like psychological horror vibe where you're not necessarily going to fight whatever
Yeah,
or
it's one
you're
of those.
mostly
This
running and
could be
avoiding.
this could be cool, but
Well, if they're like 3 hours long, I think they'll be cool. But I think that effect wears off pretty quick. And like on second playthroughs, like Soma was a game that I really loved that was like that. And I happened to play it before I had ever played Amnesia or Outlast, and so really loved Soma.
so
But
also I heard there was some update that literally took enemies out of the game.
of Soma,
Yeah, like either a part of the game or like the whole thing entirely. Like they removed either a whole section with enemies or they removed like combat altogether. Like they
well,
did.
there wasn't any combat when I played it when it first came out.
Yeah. There was like something where like yeah, this section's been removed, or the enemies in this area have been just removed because like people were just like fed up with it or something. Like there was too many complaining. I heard something about that with Soma recently, which is
Really?
weird. I mean, I
Huh.
don't like stealth. Don't get me wrong. There were sections in the game where I was just kind of like annoyed with the stealth. But yeah, like apparently, like it was just weird to hear that. Oh yeah, people hated this section or this shit so much they took it out in an update.
Interesting. Um, yeah, I think if I would have played that game after I played Outlast or Amnesia, because I played that game, and that game, people that watched me play that were like, "Oh, you should play Outlast," and then someone suggested like, "Oh, the best of it is like Amnesia, The Dark Descent," in terms of like that cosmic
Hmm.
horror, psychological horror. Um,
Soma was weird to me because they always talk about the mind fuck at the end of Soma, and I was just like, what mind fuck? There was no mind fuck. Like
there was if you didn't pick up there because there's
if you
some
paid
hints.
zero attention, sure, I guess. But like the funny thing, because the whole thing was like, oh, you copied your consciousness into another body, but then what happened to the original body? It's still there, it's still alive or whatever. But I'm like, and that's the ending. And I'm like, yeah, but you literally do that at like the 2/3 mark where you have to like
Yeah,
swap bodies at one point. And they're like,
yeah,
what
and your
happened to my
head's
old
a
one? Oh,
camera, right?
yeah. Like there's literally a point where you have to swap bodies, and like you can even go and look at your old body like on the operating table, and they're like, "Oh, well, it's gone. It died." I'm like, "Yeah, you copied. The original body got fucked, but like okay, cool. Now you're playing as the copy. So when the copy copies again, like, oh, why am I still here? I'm like, because you copied, you dumbass.
Yeah.
Like, it was this. People were like, "Oh my god, the dread of it." And I'm like, how did you not know that was going to happen? Like, I would have been like, all right, copy successful. Time to like pull the trigger now. So
I don't know. I mean, if I knew that I'd safely gotten technically myself out, I'd go out on way more interesting way than that.
or do something. But the guy was like free. The fact that the character was like just freaking the fuck out. At the end where they're like, oh,
Didn't occur to him that he would be stuck behind and his
yeah.
copy
And
would
I
get.
was just kind of like, how did you not know this? Like this was not. I don't know. It was a weird thing where people always talk about the twist in that game, and I'm like, it's not a twist. They spell it out for you what's going to happen, and then it
Yeah,
happens, and then why are you surprised?
I played it in almost one sitting, and so maybe that's why it was a little more obvious. If you don't play it in one sitting,
Mm,
maybe it's not. Um, yeah, I don't know. A lot of those games where people really hype them up, like Outlast. Remember when we went to like
Yeah,
Outlast
yeah.
or Outlast 2, we were joking a lot. And you remember we had a couple people that were annoyed that we were joking.
I can't
Um,
fake being scared. I'm sorry.
well, I mean, I'll get spooked, but like by the time you're on your third of that style of game,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's hard to get too in your own head because you know the consequence. Like there's no combat, there's no.
This pissed a lot of there. This drives people nuts because everyone talks about like the attic in their RE7, like you have to pull the arm off of like the one Evelyn
Oh right, yeah,
body,
yeah.
and they talk about how fucking terrifying that was. And you didn't play it in VR, you don't understand. And I'm like, I don't think VR would have changed much for me, other than like, yeah, it's going to be louder. But it's like you got up into that attic, and I was like, I wish I kept my playthrough or something saved it just so I could show people. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get up here. Something's gonna fall. Something's gonna I'm gonna turn this corner. I'm gonna hear a noise, and then that literally is the ball drops
Yeah.
and rolls. And and I pull the arm out. I'm like, oh, you got to get out of the attic. You have to go back. I'm like, all right, enemies are gonna spawn on the way back. Enemy spawn on the way back. And I'm like, I'm sorry, this shit was telegraphed. Like,
No, I
you
definitely
don't
got
have to
spooked
be
even when I know it's
Nostradamus. I'm
coming.
like, yeah, it's a spooky environment or whatever, but I'm
Yeah,
also kind of like, when you work so fucking hard to make something look scary and look creepy and look dark and intimidating, and then it's like, and I'm playing a scary game where enemies can jump out and attack you. Like,
of course
here's
they
the
will. Yeah,
most obvious point to have an enemy come out and attack you. I'm like, it's gonna happen, and it happens, and I'm like, yep, there it is, and there it is. Like,
especially if I'm playing, especially if I'm streaming. I turn that part of my brain off. I turn off the logical part of my brain for that just to. It's more fun.
I guess I can't turn that off. Like, if something feels so fucking obvious to me, I'm just like, no, it's
Yeah.
I
I
can't. I can't. Like big windowless van that's all dingy looking. It says free candies. How could someone kidnap me in there? I don't know. Genius. Like,
your butthole's clenching, and I just ignore my butthole. Yeah, for the experience, for the play. That's how I feel about Fatal Frame too. Where like, oh, I forget
yeah,
which
it's
one.
starting to get there now too, especially with that remake they showed. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, this is all kind of like blending together. I don't even know if this used to be the scariest game ever for me, but now I don't even really know.
Well, the first time that I played, I think it was like Fatal Frame 2. Like I can't remember the first one that I played. Terrifying.
Yeah.
Like genuinely crap your pants terrifying. And then every one that I've played, I haven't like I've been there for playthroughs for that, but I haven't necessarily like been the one playing, so maybe it's different when you're the one controlling it. But every time after that, some of that effect really wore off.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time I played Fear, there were moments that literally like shocked the hell out of
I'm
me.
glad they're doing a remake for 2, sure, but
Yeah.
also, yeah, there was a bit of like, cool, seen this, seen
It
it before, seen it multiple times now. Like,
I definitely psychological horror loses its like terror quick. But it is also still one of the most fun horror games we're
yeah.
getting
Now,
is
as
like
as to
psychological
what
horror.
as to what to do to make something scary, I don't really know. Like, to me, it's more of a things need to happen when not when they're supposed to happen. Like, if you work so hard to have the setup of the moment of the spooky thing happen, you're telegraphing yourself. Like, it should be the middle of the day, and like, let's say you're in a forest or whatever, right? You should be walking down a trail in the middle of the day, and you just go through a bush, you go through an area, and all of a sudden you see a baby bear, and there should be like half a second before you hear the terrifying, oh shit, shit's rustling, goes, "Ah," and then you hear the rustling behind it, and you're like, I'm fucked. Like, that should be the pants shitting moment. It's clear as day. You're on the trail where you're supposed to be, and all of a sudden, oh, you ran into a little cub, and Mama Bear's coming, and she's going to maul you to death, kind of thing.
You're
Like,
terrified of bears though.
right? But my point is like, you
You're
didn't do any.
specific.
You didn't do anything. It wasn't like, you have to go up into the attic. it's dark up there.
I'm trying to remember the
You
name
know?
of the movie by it's not a different Kurosawa, I think. But there's this scene that I still think is one of the most effective horror scenes that I've ever seen. And it's like a guy comes into an apartment, or it's a guy who comes into an apartment and he's walking down a spoopy hallway. And every time you think the jump scare is going to come, the jump scare doesn't come.
Hmm.
And instead, basically, the way he set it up, once the guy gets to the end of the hallway, it's all one shot. And behind him, you see that if you've paid attention, you can see her shoes.
Hmm.
And she's been standing there the whole time, but you can't see her. And she just starts walking toward. And so it's this weird dread where you think a jump scare is coming, but no jump scare happens. So when the person starts moving, it's not even a jump scare. It's just creepy, weird, and
Yeah.
terrifying. And the build up to it, like the psychological horror build to it, is
Yeah,
just
to me, it's
fantastic.
like it's more scary when things are more aggressive, and you're like, oh, okay, you see something, and it's like, okay, let me run away, and it's like it's pounding through the door, it is trying to get to you, and you're like, what the fuck do I do? You don't want to be in this sort of like, oh, it pinned you, and the camera's doing this thing, and you're waiting for the QTE to come up, and it's like,
We
no,
had
I want to be in full control. I think terror comes better when it's like you're in full control of your character's movement and abilities, but it's like, what the fuck do I do against this thing? Or like you try to shoot and it just shrugs whatever off, and then just it fucking
oh,
smacks you across the room, kind of thing. Like
we had
dealing
different childhoods.
dealing with something that is like relentless is more terrifying than just kind of like I'm waiting for the clown to like pop out of the closet and go boo.
So, there might be some kids, or people that are listening. Maybe you're Irish. The buildup for me to conflict, wherever, like, I want to avoid the conflict. I don't really want the conflict. Let's not do the conflict. The moment the conflict starts, and my brother's like this too, we're in it and we're in it to win, and we're like everything else falls away. So for me, the buildup is much more terrifying. The moment the conflict or the violence or whatever starts in the game, all fear of that is like lost. Like I don't I no longer have it's the waiting to rip off the band-aid is more scary than the actual
Right.
ripping off the band-aid type thing. And so I'm sort of the opposite. Like if we were in daylight and we walked in, oh, there's a baby bear and I know a mama bear's coming, my first reaction is like turn and face the bear. I know I'm gonna lose. It's- there's
You're
another
gonna die.
like
You're gonna die
yeah,
horribly too.
yeah, but there's only like people dying horribly is the only way to go. Go out with a fight. You know what I mean? Like, even if, especially if it's a one-sided fight, make it count. You know? Take one of that fucker's eyes. If that's the only goal you have, really put it at a disadvantage for the rest of its life. That's not how you think about it? No, yeah, we had different childhoods.
Depends on the bear, dude. If it's a Kodiak or a grizzly, you're not doing shit to it. If it's like
one
a black bear, yeah, you can maybe fuck it up. Even a brown bear, depending on the size. But like, you get a polar bear,
One time when I was a kid, I was getting a little bit bullied by a kid who was much bigger than me. And I told my brother about it. My brother was all like, "Okay, well, the next time that he's pummeling you, like do everything you can, take every hit you can, and just like get his hand and grip two fingers in each and just start yanking as hard as you can. Just keep yanking on two fingers in each hand and just keep going until he quits." He's like, "If he doesn't quit, you're gonna maim him for life." And so like you'll lose the fight, but he lost. That's that's our entire mentality. Bear's gonna maul me. I'm gonna lose, but I'm taking an eyeball or a
but
tooth or
well,
something.
depends on the bear.
Yeah, like, but I'm just like it's all of it terrible.
Like, imagine getting in a
Again,
fight
different
with a
childhoods.
gorilla. If a gorilla was genuinely pissed at you, and you're like, "I'm only going to take something," no, you're not. He's going to swing his arm once, and you're
No,
going to go flying.
again, I'm not saying I'm gonna win or achieve the thing. I'm saying that my brain turns off that part. Like conflict, the build up to the conflict or the build up to the scary moment is the
I
scary
think like
thing for me.
I don't know. I think when you have a relentless thing and you're just trying to get it to die or trying to get it to stop and it's not stopping, it's not dying, and you're running out of options, that's more terrifying than the just sort of like okay, you're walking down a dilapidated hallway, get and there's a bunch of closed doors, guess or windows. I wonder what will fucking happen. Yes, you
Not knowing what the thing is better than knowing what the thing is, and even knowing that the thing
right. The
is
problem is we're talking about video games.
yeah, 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 yeah. I
They are going to jump something. Something is going to happen. Like you're
yeah,
going, like you can't. I mean, oh, I don't. I didn't know video games could do that. Oh, you didn't think video games were going to have enemy NPCs come through a window or come through a door, or like you thought like what they were just going to like noises was it that was going to be the whole game? Of course not. Like you
the
have to
first
know that they're going to do something.
the first playthrough of RE4 where you have to hold the house, or like when you first have enemies climbing through windows or climbing up stuff, legitimately that was a very like I didn't know video games could do this. Like the first time I had like where they knocked down a door and then dudes were climbing through the second story
Right, and
window and
that's
I
the
thought I
fun
was
part is like,
chill. Yeah.
they're doing things I didn't know they could do. When it's like super obvious what they're gonna do before it happens, that's the part where I'm like,
Yeah.
you've already lost me. I'm not gonna get scared by like the most obvious fucking setup where it's just kind of like, like it's almost like a Looney Tunes thing. They put a bear trap or a pit. They cover it with leaves and they put a bunch of signs like free bird seed. It's like, dude,
Well, so like so RE2 or any of the RE mechanic where like that you're being hunted, like the current RE mechanic where, Lady D or,
yeah.
whoever is like following you through room to room implacably.
And that's what's great. I think Mr. X is so much more scarier than most of the other stuff. When you just hear him stomping around looking for you, and he's coming
I
through doors and stuff like oh, I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get away, I gotta get away. But like something bursting through the window is like you almost expect it at this point.
Yeah, I mean I am also jump scared, like the build up is better to me than the jump scare itself.
The buildup is his fucking feet.
Right. Yeah.
you know,
Okay,
that's
same same.
great.
I'm just saying, like the build up and the ambiance and all that stuff. I enjoy that a lot. Like I'll get and then once the jump scares happened, I'm now like it's no longer like scary, terrifying. We're running now. It's like it's a fight.
Well, that's what I think the problem is, though, is that like some horror games, their entire existence is built on the buildup because they don't have a payoff.
Right.
because
Outlast.
because what
Yeah.
what is in the inevitability of what you're dealing with is only sort of scary.
Well,
It's all
that
about the buildup, and then like to me, you need to have something. Mr. X is like a perfect example of like what the fuck is this? Oh my god, he lifted the
right.
helicopter. He's coming now. He's picking you up by the head and just like I'm like, okay, this is serious. Like this is a serious threat I have to deal with, rather than oh my god, what is that? Oh, it's a crow. Shoot it. Ah, it died. All right.
I mean, this is something that I feel like The Last of Us 2. The reason why I like that game as much as I do is the buildup is really, really good, but then there's a mix of enemies where like some of them are implacable. Like you have to be more clever about how you fight them than
Yeah, yeah.
just lay into them, right? Um, and so there's a weird mix, but the buildup of like seeing the spores and like hearing the clickers and stuff like that like works very well for me. I enjoy it. Like I imagine if you don't enjoy that buildup,
I think what horror games should work on more too is how to resolve conflict. Like if a horror game can find ways to give you multiple different ways to overcome something, I think that's way more interesting than walking down a guided hallway and having a guy, a scripted thing come out and you have your pipe,
well,
you have your gun, you have your very limited amount of ammo. You're basically what are you supposed to do? Hit this thing or shoot this thing until it drops
you should play
kind of
Last of
thing.
Us 2.
Right. No, I know that's like one of the
You
things
should do
that's
that.
good about it is like is the different ways. And I think horror games should strive for that more. I know it's annoying. I know that's a lot to ask for a developer, but I think like how you resolve a tense moment or how you overcome something, if you can give multiple different ways to doing that, that's going to be more interesting than rather than just like here's yours, because too often you end up being, it's like walking through a haunted maze, it's like being on a ride. I'm kind of like I'm in the
Right.
cart, I'm witnessing the experience. Boo, ah, pivot, turn, escape, yay.
Well,
Like basically RE3 remake. Why do people hate RE3 remake? Because they turned Nemesis into a scripted event. Nemesis should have been Mr. X on steroids. Instead, Nemesis is a theme park attraction. Who scriptedly shows up and does things,
well,
and then you escape, or eventually you just shoot it and die.
it's been a long time since I played the original, but the original was like that too, right? Where it's just like
It was more like that than people think, because Nemesis could show up randomly at any area. The problem is they announce him. Like if the game decided to RNG, oh, I'm going to put Nemesis where you are. Like you go from background screen to screen, because you know how it was FMV backgrounds.
yeah,
You go to the next screen, all of a sudden, rather than just Nemesis is just there, the game literally gives you does this really quick mini cutscene where all of a sudden Nemesis is on the other end and just stars, and you're like, dun dun dun,
right.
oh no, Nemesis is here. Let me turn around, or let me go down the other branch. They announced him. I hated the fact that they announced him in classic RE3. Like, they
Well,
shouldn't have announced him. He should have just been there. Like, you were just running around, all of a sudden, oh my god, there he is.
was that a
Um,
tech limitation or was that a choice, like a
it
design
was
choice?
definitely a choice. It was 100% a
Okay.
choice. It's probably something a mod could remove. They could remove the whole, because you know how mods, they remove the
Yeah.
door opening animations and stuff. It's like, remove the
Which you never do.
yeah,
Come on.
like remove the Nemesis announcement, like little mini cutscenes. Just, if you show up and he's there, he's fucking there. I think that would have definitely made him a lot more scarier. Like, Mr. X and RE2 original was scarier than Nemesis, because Mr. X could just randomly show up. Like, you'd be, oh, I'm getting something. All of a sudden, brr, he comes through the fucking
Right.
wall, and you're like, what the fuck? Let me run out of this room. You run out of the room. That was crazy. Brr, he comes through the other wall. I'm like, god damn.
Yeah, I mean, I call that more stressful than scary. Like,
Sure.
it's stressful. I don't know, but the build up to like the first time you're in, I think it's in RE2, the first time you have to deal with lickers in RE2, where like the hallway, and you're like, if you recognize what those things mean, you're like, oh, it's lickers. But the first time you have to deal with them, and you're kind of like, wait, what's going on
Yeah.
here? Like, yeah, that build up is just, ooh, it's so good. So was there anything on the state of play that you were like, this speaks to me specifically?
Like I said, I kind of enjoyed, like, Damon Baby or whatever. But um
Because there was a couple things that I felt,
like, there wasn't nothing like, either way. The problem is, what we're avoiding here, and what everyone wants to hear about, is fucking Tokon. So
yeah,
Tokon's getting a second beta, uninterrupted this time, which is great. Um, they're gonna put Spider-Man and Ghost Rider in there in the
yeah. So
second beta.
it's 8 characters now, right? In the
I
beta?
think so. Yeah, I believe
Yeah,
that they were known characters. They were announced with the game. Um,
yeah.
like, we knew it was Ghost Rider, we knew it was Spider-Man were going to be in the game, but now they're actually going to be in the next playable beta. Um, and they showed 2 new stages, Savage Land and yeah, the mansion from
Yeah,
X-Men. Charles Xavier's mansion. I forget what the name. Either way,
the
that one's
school,
just,
yeah.
yeah, the Mutant Academy. That one doesn't have stage transitions. It's only going to be with the one background, but they say it's the the background's going to change during the course of the fight rather than having the stage transitions. But the heartrending thing about it was, like, potentially deconfirming a ton of characters, because Psylocke's in the background, Beast is in the background, Iceman's in the background, Angel's in the background, Gambit's in the background. Um, Now we know, like, Matt Murdock was in the background of the New York stage, which we don't know if that means Daredevil's not in the game, or, like, because usually, a lot of times in fighting games, if a character's in the background as a background character, that usually deconfirms them from being
Okay.
playable. So a
Oh, right,
ton of
because yeah,
fan favorite X-Men characters being in the background of the Mutant Academy, it could be a bit of a deconfirmation. That's not now. To be fair, there's been things before where, like, if you played Street Fighter 4, for example, and you were on the airstrip level, if you were fighting on the airstrip level, this big cargo plane lands, and you see Bison. He opens the door and, like, he taunts you or whatever, right?
mhm,
So you're like, that didn't deconfirm Bison, because Bison was a playable character in Street Fighter 4. Now, if Bison was fighting you, Vega would open the door and he'd be like, "Ah," right?
right. So they
And then
could do something like that.
if you're doing Vega versus Bison, Balrog would open the door, and he'd be like, "Ah," right? So they thought of this contingency for everything. Now, so background doesn't necessarily deconfirm them because if they are like 3D assets and say like, okay, someone has say Psylocke on their team and they're playing that stage, they just remove that character from the background. They just not part of the background because they're on the playable roster. So it's not 100% deconfirmed, but
But
on the
also,
other hand,
how many X-Men are we hoping / expecting
right.
are going to be in?
So on the other hand, we didn't see Wolverine in the background because for sure Wolverine's going to be playable. So that seems more like like not confirmation, but like okay, Wolverine's not in the background, but he's not a confirmed character because he's probably going to be playable. So that's why they don't have him. But like frankly, characters like Colossus and Angel, like oh yeah, Colossus was an MVC too, but it's like yeah, I don't know how many people were fully expecting like Colossus and Angel to be like playable characters in this
Right.
game. But Iceman, he's kind of one of those like, yeah, he hasn't been playable since MVC2. He's not really super popular. Him being in the background, probably good idea. I don't think, but like Psylocke and Gambit, they're like mainstays. They're like longtime fan favorites. Granted, again, also not playable since MVC2, but I mean, it to me, it looks more like this looks more like confirmation they're not playable than a confirmation. Then oh, don't panic, they could still be playable in the game. Uh,
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm always bummed when Gambit isn't playable and
and
things.
sort of
Love
the
Gambit, but
sentiment too is that they haven't announced a single new character since they announced the game, but they've potentially confirmed who's not playable. So in a sense, they've actually confirmed negative new characters. Then they've confirmed new characters. They have not confirmed any new characters. They have only confirmed who's not going to be playable in the game
well,
potentially.
but they also haven't said how large the roster is going to be.
No, they haven't committed to that.
So it's like
And
things could change.
I would say this: I haven't really taken a good hard look at it, but I'm going to assume if Gambit and Psylocke's 3D models aren't hyper detailed, they're probably not playable because a
Right.
why would they make two separate models of the characters, like a playable version and a completely different 3D model for them in the background? Um,
No, that's fair. That's actually a clever way to
Right, because
investigate
like
that.
if the character model is like really hyper detailed, looks like you could put that right up front on as a fighting on screen, then maybe there's some hope that maybe they're playable. But I mean, if the character model is like okay, this looks okay, this looks good, but doesn't look as high quality detail as say the characters you play as, and that's probably more of a more of a or more in the evidence of like this character's probably not playable because they're not going to make two different models for a character. They're not going to go so far with the background and then go way further with a playable model. They just use the one model for both. You know what I
So
mean?
yeah, so I, out of curiosity, I was trying to see if I could remember everyone that's actually confirmed, and only 8 characters are confirmed. So all confirmed characters are going to be in the beta,
Yes.
and so that's for anybody that doesn't remember, like I didn't. It's Captain America, Iron Man, Miss Marvel, Storm, Star Lord, Ghost Rider, Robbie Reyes' version, Spider Man, and Doctor Doom, which feels like an odd mix.
I think they're definitely going for variety rather than not. I mean, again, Wolverine not being in the background is like, yeah, because Wolverine's definitely playable. But then you're gonna have okay, that's Wolverine and that's Storm. Maybe Cyclops shows up. But it's like you already have again, Wolverine's not gonna come on, Wolverine's gonna be in the game. That's like two X-Men right there, right? Like maybe they're like, we don't want to have too many X-Men. We'll have some Guardians, some Avengers, some X-Men, some street level.
I can't think of a good reason why they wouldn't have Wolverine, but they would have Storm. I mean, Storm is a popular character, but like Wolverine is the popular character.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I was trying to think like, oh, if they launched with 8 characters and then they had another 8 coming, like 16 characters is a fairly small roster, but not a bad roster.
It's kind of small for a game that's 4v4.
Right. It, yeah, I don't, hmm.
I think a game when you're going to be selecting four fucking characters for every fight, I would say you probably need 24 to start. 16 is like that's cutting it a little. It's cutting it a little short.
Yeah, so there's a lot of potential though for a much more characters like beloved characters to come out. I'm
It just
X-Men characters. I wonder how many X-Men characters they're gonna do.
well, here's the thing. I can easily them seeing them going like 4 X-Men characters, right? Storm,
Wolverine.
Wolverine, Magneto, maybe Cyclops.
God, Punch Dimension guy, come on, let him stay.
You could have a team of 4 X-Men, but yeah, like Nightcrawler being back there and God and Colossus and all these other ones. It's like, oh man, this hurts.
A friend sent me a great like little video of Cyclops having to awkwardly explain that his eyeballs don't shoot lasers. And I had
I've heard about this.
forgotten that, yeah, it's just like, yeah, my eyes are actually portals to the punch dimension. It's just the pure punch energy comes out of my eyes. And it's just like, what? I never knew this. Had never heard this. I mean, I guess I only watched the cartoon and maybe they just never talked about it on the cartoon. But like that was lasers on the cartoon, right? Because
I mean,
things would
it is
explode.
it's energy. It's energy beams.
Yeah, but it's actually just kinetic force. It's not actually like there's no heat
Mm,
is the point. Like it's the punch dimension.
the punch dimension.
And it's just like that. Yeah, okay. I haven't read the comics in a long time, but it genuinely, I should Google it, but it's too funny to me that it is real. So I'm taking it as canon
It's
now.
solar energy. It's energy.
Is it really?
Yeah, massive concussive force. Well, because red light and deliver massive concussive force. The cells constantly absorb solar energy, can use some energy to create a beam. Yeah, it's whatever. I get what they're saying.
Punch dimension.
Punch dimension, whatever. Stupid. Oh
Well,
man.
now I want to
But
know if that was ever.
yeah, but like, yeah, either way, it's like it's cool that we're getting another beta. It's cool that we're getting it soon. I think a lot of people are getting really weirdly upset over the fact that like why haven't they announced new characters? Why they should have announced new characters? Like it's been way too long for new characters, and frankly, that's I don't know. Here's the thing I'm going to tell people.
It was
I don't know
retcon.
that Marvel ToeCon was as big of a project for Sony as it was for the FGC. Like, yeah, it's everything to the FGC, but like I think for Sony and the budget and the time they probably gave Arc System, I don't know if this game was as huge a deal for them as it was for fighting game fans.
I thought that was clear.
Oh hell no.
Sony, no, because Sony clearly, yeah, okay, they bought Evo, but like or bought part of Evo. They clearly don't view like they want that, games as a service. They don't view the fighting game community is like large enough to cater to.
Right.
This very much, even when they were first talking about it, everyone involved very passionate. Feels like Sony itself sort of hands off because they're just sort of throwing a bone for whoever the producer was. Must have been so annoying and like, great, thank you. That's exactly what you want. You want someone that's going to advocate for their
Yeah.
community that they love. But that's what it felt like to me. Like even the announcement where and I'm blanking on the producer, was just like, yeah, and I was really involved, but really wanted them to take over. And like it's just like Sony was just like, fine, shut up here. Like here is like a little bit of money to get this game made. And that producer turned that project into like, well, they're not looking over my shoulder because they're not giving me a lot of money. So we're gonna like put balls to the wall. Is what
Yeah.
it seems like to me. I mean, the official story or the real story could be totally different. Like this could be a
Well, yeah,
passion
I mean,
project.
there's no way they're spending $300 million on this, you know?
Oh, I hope they are. I hope they're getting
No,
absolutely
no.
hosed for Spider-Man. Why is Spider-Man in things if you have to pay $100 million for it?
Well, I don't think it's going to have Spider-Man's budget. I don't think it
No.
has that kind of. It doesn't even have the Avengers budget. Like it's probably got a tiny budget whether they're like, okay, well, like, they probably are like, what did Guilty Gear Strive? What was the budget for that game? Which was probably minuscule.
Yeah.
And then they're probably like, okay, great. Well, here's that much. And we'll pay because it's only this much. We'll basically negotiate that with Disney and say like, hey, Guilty Gear Strive. Well, we're not even gonna say that. Like Guilty Gear Strive costs. They probably were negotiating with ArcSys. Like, what did it cost you to make Strive? Okay, cool. We'll give you that much for a Marvel game, and then we'll tell Disney like, it's this small, and we'll give you, that's how much it is, and then what's the licensing fee on that? And Disney's like, well, okay, if it's a small project, obviously they're not charging $100 million.
Every
Disney's not charging Sony $100 million to license Tokon. There's no
Right.
way. They're probably giving them a smaller budget because they're probably like they're
well, it's the
basing it off
percentage of
of
whatever budget.
right. So
Yeah.
again, it was a third. So okay, let's pretend I have no idea. I have no idea what Guilty Gear Strive cost. I have no idea whatsoever. Let's pretend that game cost $30 million to make. Let's pretend. Could be way more, could be way less. I have no idea. They probably said, okay, we'll give you $30 million to make Tokon, and then we're going to pay Disney $10 million. So it's like a $40 million game.
Nah, they for sure didn't do that. They didn't pay Disney, but not for this. I mean, Spider-Man's super popular in Japan, from what I understand.
I mean, he's more. I mean, of the superheroes, Spider-Man is on the higher end in Japan. But you go to Japan, you're not going to see like Spider-Man merchandise. Shit
No, but it did
everywhere.
have a
No.
Japanese TV show, which is a fairly big deal.
50 some fucking years ago.
Yeah,
Like,
but it's still
let's remember that. Like most people who worked on the show are dead from old age.
But my point is like it is still of the
Like
American.
they
comic
know what
book.
it is. Spider-Man's cool, but it is not the same as if you walked into any
Yeah.
fucking store in North America.
Which
It's
is
not
why
that
they
level.
definitely wouldn't have put that much budget behind it if they were getting charged that much. I don't think
Right.
anyone expected this to be as popular or as eye-grabbing as it is. And part of that is like, I'm not sure that anyone from Sony or Disney or whatever expected them to go so hard in the character designs.
Mhm.
Like, I'm trying to think of if any of the characters of the 8 characters that they've shown, all of them look cool as hell.
Yeah.
Like every single one.
I mean,
Like they didn't half-ass any of them.
there was back and forth where they talked about it, where like initially they made very comic accurate look, and then like the Sony, I don't know if it was Sony side or probably the Sony side, more like Disney side probably as well, went like, no, go anime with it. Oh, go anime with it. Okay. So
And they were
that is
correct.
apparently the what happened in development. Like initially Arc System was making very faithful, accurate comic book, and then
Right.
either Sony or Disney or both went back and said, no. We don't want the same thing. We want you to go like make it as Japanese as possible. Like, oh, okay, make it super Japanese. Gotcha. Gundam Tony Stark.
And it's cool.
It is cool.
It is so
but like I
cool.
don't my opinion is that they probably didn't spend much more on this game than like Sony's money they gave to Arc System was probably not much more than what Strive cost.
Yeah, and they definitely didn't pay millions of dollars for Spider-Man specifically. I think they would have
No,
just
and
been like,
I
"No, we won't
think,
have Spider-Man."
and like I said, I'm pretty sure the deal they negotiated with Disney, which was like, okay, well, a third of the budget needs to go to licensing. They probably said, well, what, like they probably Disney or Marvel, the Marvel side of Disney was like, what does it cost to make a fighting game? And they're like, well, they tell us it costs this much. Okay, great. 30% of that you pay to us, for it. And then we're going to get 40% of the revenue. And that's the deal you make. Like we know
That's a
this
wild deal.
from the Spider-Man leak is like they charge they charge a third of the budget and 40% of the revenue has to go to them. So it's probably not big. My point here in all of this rambling, I don't think Tokon has a huge budget. I don't think
I hope it makes $1
I
billion.
don't think Marvel or Sony thought it was going to blow up as much as it did. I think for them, they thought, oh, it's a cool little project. It's a cool little side project. Oh shit, people really love this. Well, cool, whatever. Why? Like we'll ask, why are they not announcing new characters? I don't think there was a plan. I don't think they had any long-term big marketing plan. Like, we're going to announce this character here and then this character here. No, they were just like, we're going to announce the game, and then when it gets close to launch, we'll have another trailer, and then it'll come out.
I hope it is like an insane hit, and yet again Sony, because didn't Sony sell K-pop Demon Hunters to Netflix because
Yes.
they were like, it's not gonna be big. And now
Yes.
it's like the biggest friggin' thing in the world. I hope it's
Correct.
back to back. They're all like, this isn't gonna be big. And then this is just like, because it has rollback, right?
Yeah.
It has everything that like FGC hardcore FGC people love, and it looks cool as hell. Like could be good. Could be big. I hope it's big.
I think it's going to be again. I think this game is going to be bigger than Sony and Marvel predicted, because
Yeah. Oh yeah.
they've had a tough time, honestly. Besides Rivals and some mobile stuff, most of their console Marvel initiatives have not gone super well in the last 8 years or so.
Well, that and I
Um,
mean, like the reception to it when it was first announced.
Very good.
Yeah, clearly they were shocked about how big of.
But again, I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure when people are asking, like, because everyone wants to know, it's the question that comes up every single time, every single stream is, when are they gonna, when are we gonna see new character? Why haven't they showing new characters? When, I'm like, I don't think this was the plan. I think the marketing plan for this game, again, announce it, goes away, like, a launch date trailer, like, 4 to 6 months from launch, and then a couple things like, in the 2 months leading up to launch, and then just launch it. I think there wasn't much of a marketing plan at all for this thing.
yeah, and
I
they
think
had to do a hype train for it.
I think they were going to treat it
Yeah,
like they did most other things. It was like, here, it's announced, and then we'll talk about it when it's about to come out again, and we'll do like a couple updates, in the 2 to 3 months leading to release, and then it just releases, and then boom, and then we're good. They were not planning to do what Tekken does, or what Street Fighter does, or what Guilty Gear does. They were not planning to drip feed season pass characters or new character announcements all the way up to launch. That was in my mind, that was never their plan, because
hmm,
I don't think Sony or Marvel ever thought that this project was going to be huge. To them, it was like a cool little thing, a cool little side project that we were going to have come out, in sort of like in the wings on the back end. It's much like Astrobot. Remember, Astrobot got announced in like June or July
yeah,
or something, and then it came out like 4 months later. It was like, yeah, we're making a new Astrobot. Here it is.
and it was
Wait, what is
great.
this? This is, people love this. Oh shit, cool. And at the same time, Astrobot didn't light the sales world on fire either. Like, as good as that game is, and as much as accolades and Game of the Year awards it won, it didn't actually blow up in sales.
Right.
At the end of the day, it sold like 3 to 5 million, something like nowhere close to Spider-Man or God of War or Horizon.
I mean, still good, but yeah, not
Good, but it wasn't the savior of the console or nothing.
no.
And I don't think Sony was looking at this as like, this is going to save fighting. We're going to blow. Sony and Marvel did not look at Marvel Tokon and say, like, we are going to turn fighting games. We're going to launch them into the stratosphere. We are going to be the next League of Legends, the next Valorant, the next Counter-Strike. We will have massive tournaments around the world with $1 million prize pools. No.
Well,
Sony and Marvel are like, hey, this is a cool idea. We should do this. Cool.
let's not spend a lot on it, but it'll be
Let's not
fun.
spend a ton. Let's not spend a ton, but, like, just give them base essentials what they need, and then, we'll just, and if it does well, it does well, great, and if it doesn't, whatever. Like, to me, I think Sony treated this as a side project, a low risk, not low risk, but like a mitigated loss, where, like, okay, well, we definitely could probably sell 1 million copies of this, right?
Right.
They were probably looking at it and going like, well, what's the worst it could do? 1 million, 1.5 million? That's still good.
Whoever the Sony side producer is, people should give him love because I bet he fought. I bet he fought hard for this.
Yeah.
I bet very much so. All right, give it a score. What do you think the state of play had? Score, and then we'll get out. You get
2,
a 2 out of 10 or out of 5?
10.
2 out of 10 for you, really?
There
Come,
was just no real actual announcements. Like, so much of this stuff was like literally known. Like, it was a scramble of just sort of like updates of we knew Dynasty Warriors was getting DLC in January. We knew most of these things were getting their updates. Like, as far as like actual, oh shit, this is new. It's like, okay, there's
mm,
like, oh, we shadow dropped an Octopath Traveler demo, which is like, okay, that's new, but also they did that for 1 and 2. So it was only, it was more like like, okay, and they did it for 0 as well. Congrats. Like, we're shocked. Um like
As a casual, I think this was a 7 or an 8 because it plugged gaps. Like, I thought there was a gaping maw for the next several months for Sony, and now there's actual things that piqued my interest. Like,
I think
I
it's
think is
I think it's really interesting. To me, the most interesting thing was the hardware announcement. The fact that they're making a really cheap region lock PS5 was like, that's really interesting.
you're not
They're
hyped for the Sony monitor?
No, I don't give a
The
shit.
Sony "We're
Um,
totally doing great right now, guys"
this is-
monitor?
but it is, but I just like the fact that they're competing. You know,
Yeah.
like those speakers, all that shit. That is all projects from another division of Sony fighting desperately to piggyback onto the success of the PlayStation branding.
Yeah,
Because as
it's
we all know, the rest of Sony's electronics departments
not
have
doing
not
great.
been doing they haven't been doing well for a very long time. So I think they're just looking for, okay, this is let's jump on the PlayStation branding where we can make some, make it look like we're doing well.
There was a point in time when Sony made some of the best TVs, some of the
There
best
was.
speakers.
That point is long gone.
Well, I don't. I mean, I don't know that they necessarily don't make really great product anymore. It's mostly just like everyone else caught up.
Well, the thing is, yeah, well, that was what I was going to say.
So
They're not a step above.
right,
You know,
and there
they're
was
they're
a
not
point
they're
where they
not this
were.
yeah, they're not this clear advantage leader. I really would like to also bring up the fact, because I think it's going to get buried. It's already getting buried. Um, and that is the Rockstar thing that's happening. There was an excellent video that went up, I think, today from People Make Games. So People Make Games was literally planning to have an interview video ready to go about the Rockstar People Workers Union. And he literally had to go and instead of interviewing them for the announcement of their workers union, he's now interviewing them for them getting fired for
Yeah.
gross misconduct. And he goes over it very well in his video. And I feel like we have to. I want to acknowledge this, that yes, the 40 people from Rockstar Edinburgh, Rockstar North as it's known, were laid off without warning, and their official first press release was gross misconduct, and they later said because they were leaking information. This is Rockstar North is saying this is why they laid these 40 people off. All 40 of those people were planning to unionize because there's a law in Europe. Again, watch the People Make Games video on YouTube. There's a law saying if 10% of your workforce have agreed to unionize, the government has to acknowledge it, whether the company wants to or not. Like, there's a government law in England, in the UK for
Yeah.
this. Somehow Rockstar North, again, we don't really know, but it's interesting how those people were very quickly laid off right before they were about to do it. So now the other side is arguing this is absolutely union busting. And I will just say, from the legal standpoint, you couldn't get any more smoke, around the idea that, like, wow, it sure does look like this, doesn't it?
I haven't seen anyone say otherwise. Every bit of commentary I've seen has been like, this is clearly union busting. Um, yeah, I don't. There are many teenagers that are very mad that there's any sort of possibility of delay or criticism for GTA 6. You know, but everybody else I think acknowledges, like, yeah, they should sue. I don't
I've
know if
never.
they can
Oh,
sue,
they
but they
are.
should
They are.
sue.
Oh, they are. It's happening. It's already happening. Um, this is why I'm trying to be very careful about what I'm saying here. There's a lot of smoke around this. It doesn't. The statements from Rockstar are not, to me, are not great at really dispelling the notion of what the laid off people are saying, because
I mean,
that's that's an insane coincidence, especially right as you delayed the game, saying it was going to be a whole full year until release.
yeah.
Um,
the thing is, it's going to be near impossible to win that lawsuit. So I don't think Rockstar cares.
Even if I don't know, here's my question though, is like even if Rockstar loses this lawsuit, they'll do what? They'll pay a hefty fine.
Yeah,
That
I mean, they'll
will
settle.
they'll settle, they'll pay a hefty fine, but it at the end of the day, it's going to mean nothing to them.
Right.
Like the worst that could happen to them won't matter because the people aren't going to get their jobs back, as far as I'm aware. Like, I don't think could they be forced to be rehired? Could they be forced to like rehire and unionize? I don't even know. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't because again I don't know what the laid off people are necessarily asking, but I don't even think in Rockstar's worst case scenario it's going to affect the bottom line very much because of how much money that game is going to make immediately upon release. And the really sad thing is how little anyone's going to care,
Right.
about the fact that Rockstar looks like it look from all like from what it looks like. Boy, it looks like Rockstar did some really nasty things. And I'll just say this as far as like union, like why does it union? Why they need to be a union? Why they don't? People form unions, and this is for anything. This is not specifically about Rockstar North. This is for any union. Anytime a union is formed, why? Because you have failure of management. Because management has failed to make a viable, decent working conditions for your employees. If you make a lot of money and and your workers and you pay your workers well and you keep them happy, they're never going to think about unionizing. They don't need to unionize. You pay them well, right? Like
Yeah. I mean,
things are going well. People unionize because
conditions are rough, or
conditions get
yeah.
rough, because they unionize because you have failed to properly run your business. So,
Yeah.
and the video game industry is nothing if not rife with exploitation in the workforce.
Yeah. We've been saying it for years. It's an industry where so clearly they need unionization. I can't think of an industry more clearly in need of some sort of bargaining power.
Because honestly, to me, the best thing that could happen besides unionization for the game industry is to get rid of publishers. Like
Well,
just like
I
either a
think that's
massive
slowly
downscale or
happening,
it
actually.
kind of is because this what is the reality here is that people get laid off. Most of them go find jobs in other fields, but for those who stay in game development, they go indie, they make a huge indie hit, and then they just and if they're smart, they stay independent, they stay private, and they just take their money and run. I made a hit game. That's all. I'm not here.
Yeah.
I don't go public. I don't go on. I don't trade stocks or whatever. Like I just self-publish, make money. Like that's it. End of the day. You do what Team Cherry did. Well, we made a bunch of money, and then we spent a long time making a sequel, and then we released it, and we made a bunch of money.
We made a bunch of money and we kept doing that.
We just kept doing that. I just make a product, I sell a product gives me, makes me directly feeds me, goes back to it, and then I'm done. So, frankly, I think publishers are like parasites, honestly, especially at this point in time. Um,
I mean, I don't know. There
it's
was a
like
point in time where they were absolutely necessary, but with the
they
internet and the
reap all the
democratized access to
yeah,
your audience.
but it's like they reap all the benefits, and their argument is like, well, we put your game in the public eye, we made your game known,
Right.
and that's
Every
dying.
middleman ever has made that argument.
Yeah, and that argument's dying so hard with all of these fucking friend games that are coming out super cheap and making all their small indie developers a bunch of fucking money. And
Yeah.
they didn't advertise at all. What happened? Oh, word of mouth and hey, frankly, to my own horn, streamers. Oh, it fell into the right hands for streamers and influencers, and enough people word of mouth it. Friend told a friend told a friend told a friend. This literally happened this week, this last past weekend with at the movies. To always sneak in a movie talk here. Predator Badlands made the highest end of what they expected. They were expecting a 25, to 30 at the best, maybe 35 best, and it made 40 million in a weekend. and it blew past expectations because word of mouth was so fucking strong coming out of Thursday and Friday showings, and
I
everyone's
haven't
like,
seen it
oh,
yet, but I want to.
but and it had an A minus whatever cinema score from people who saw it. So it was like word of mouth did all the fucking work. It blew past all their pre-sale tickets, blew past all their expectations for what it was going to do. And I'm like, word of mouth is now so much more stronger now because people have been like technologically trained to ignore, block, remove, swipe away, close anything they add. I couldn't tell you the last thing I saw in an advertisement on a pop-up or anything like that. Not because I don't have a pop-up blocker, but just like any pop-up that comes up, I'm just like
Right.
close,
Yeah,
close,
you turn your
close.
brain off for it.
You watch YouTube, if you're not watching YouTube Premium, say you're watching YouTube regular and they have all the ads come up for it, I couldn't tell you what the hell they were fucking at. I'm just waiting for that fucking dial to say skip.
Yeah.
Like my brain is so hyper trained to just ignore whatever anyone's selling me. Like the only time I'm gonna like ever hear about a product is like if a video I'm watching, a streamer or a YouTuber is telling me, "Hey, this thing was really awesome. You should check it out." Oh yeah, oh, what's he talking about? Like,
Yeah, I mean, word of mouth has always been the most powerful form of marketing, because taking someone's word for it is a human condition. Like someone recommending something is always going to be more powerful than like I
yeah,
saw an ad for it. Um, it's why the early days of influencer marketing was so dangerous, but also so like insanely effective,
yeah.
is because people hadn't sort of made that block in their mind where like these aren't just regular people anymore
And
making these.
frankly, an influencer who doesn't, the less an influencer talks about a product, the more valuable that person's
Yeah, when they do, because
advertising is. Because if someone just takes every fucking offer and is just constantly like telling you should play this, this brought to you by this, play this, play, then you eventually like that
you
influencer, that
tune them out.
YouTuber,
Yeah.
you start tuning them out like, okay, yeah, they're doing their ad bit. But if like they don't do a lot of that, all of a sudden they tell you about something, oh, this was actually pretty great, check it out, and you're like, oh, that becomes like more valuable. It's more valuable to go for someone who doesn't talk about shit all the time than it is for someone who talks about every fucking gig they get.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, agreed. Um, yeah, I think that ending on Rockstar union busting is a little bit more of a downer than I was planning, but that's
I just want to make sure that we're not ignoring this. Like this is
right.
happening.
Yeah.
There's a great video by People Make Games on YouTube, and please go watch it. You can, because he's literally directly talking to the people laid off.
Oh,
Um,
he's like directly interviewing them.
Yes, because he was
Oh wow.
supposed to be interviewing them right after they were about to announce their union, and it was supposed to be like this was a planned scoop, where he was supposed to get that, in Edinburgh, was like he was supposed to like be there announcing, he was supposed to be the channel like announcing, getting the first interview post unionization. Instead, he's doing an interview post layoff.
Union bust.
So it done it. I don't. Rockstar's not looking good in this. Like I said, an insane amount of smoke.
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
think I've
they've
seen
never
more
looked
smoke.
good.
Never looked good, but this
They
looks
were
like
never
this is a lot
saints.
of smoke. And again, just to say, where when they tried to clarify and said like they were leaking information about the game, I'm like,
Right.
what information is anyone like? I've asked people on stream, I'm like, do anyone remember any Rockstar leak right before these people got fired? Does anyone remember hearing any leaks? Does anyone remember? I didn't hear about any leaks, and I'm fairly on the ball on these things. And everyone's like, no, nobody. There were no leaks, just the usual like 4chan trolling kind of things, which could have been. People could say that like all they say that all the time, but it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't remember there being any leaks. Were there any leaks before these people? No, there were no leaks. But they were, according to them, they were leaking from to who?
Well, they'll have to show proof of it, I suppose. That's it
Yeah,
for me
well,
and my beard. It's actually, actually, people that aren't watching the visual thing's gonna think that I just called you my beard.
oh,
He doesn't even
please.
have long hair, guys. So no one's gonna think he's my beard. But yeah, on that note, well, actually, unless if there's another detail you want to go into.
No, I just wanted to make sure that was acknowledged.
Then on that note, we have patrons to thank. If you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week was Raylo Bombad. Thank you, Raylo Bombad. And our producers for this episode are Dragon Wolf and Kodo, Osnite, Donglemeister, Zybernite, Skurnami, LCL Mayhem, and Ziggy Z. Thank you, dudes. We'll catch you next time.
Later, dudes.